Hello there, welcome everybody. Filippo, are you here for Tonglen? You're still muted, I think.
Sorry, yes, I'm here for that.
Brilliant. Have you been before?
Not at the Tongler, and I haven't been on the tree leaf for quite a while.
Okay, no, that's all good. Have you done Tonglen before?
No, not before.
Brilliant, that's fine. I can just give a brief description before we start, so that's fine. Okay, well, welcome, thanks for coming.
That's good. Okay, so I need to set the camera on the side, right?
However you want, but yeah, most people aren't sitting straight in front of it, but whatever works for you is fine.
Good, okay.
And hi, Tanya. I don't know if you've got a camera or not, but it doesn't matter.
Hi there. Yes, I'm just setting up and then I'll turn it on just to kind of not be completely away.
That's fine.
This is my first time. So yes, a description would be amazing.
Wonderful. Hi, Evan. Hi, Tanya. That's nice. We've got a lot of new people tonight. I don't know where you are, Tanya, but I was doing a workshop with Glasgow Zen Centre earlier this afternoon. They were teaching a sutra copying practice. It was really nice.
Very close. I'm in Edinburgh.
Ah, the other one. And you're soon not to be in Edinburgh as well, as I understand.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, I'm about to move to Canada in mid-December, January. Yes, for
Whereabouts are you going?
I'm going to Montreal.
Lovely.
The French side. Now I just got the English under my belt, and now the French is going to be another one.
Well, good luck with that. It's a weird French as well.
Yeah.
It should be lovely. So it's 8 o'clock. Evan, I don't know if you've got a camera or not, but it doesn't matter as long as you can see it. Cool. It's fine. As long as you could see us, it doesn't matter, but it's good that you've got one. So since there's a few of you here who haven't been before, there's Asian. So since some of you are new to this practice, maybe I'll just give a brief description. Tonglen is essentially, it's a practice mostly from Tibet, where it's part of a set of teachings called Lojong, which are mind trainings. And the purpose of those teachings is to give you tools so that whenever something arises in your life, you can immediately use it for practice and make it part of the path without necessarily having to find a cushion to sit on. Although we're doing this formally now, this is a practice that can just be done at any time on the spot. So what they essentially did for Tonglen is twist around our normal human nature, whereas our normal self-centered humanness wants to keep all the best stuff for ourselves and get rid of all the junk to others. Instead, we deliberately visualize taking on all the suffering of other beings and other people and giving to them all our joy, kindness, love, metta, all the positivity. And the way the meditation works is in a number of ways. And I like this about what I found about Tibetan practices is they're very clever at taking what looks like a simple practice, but it actually does a number of things at once. And Tonglen is essentially using the breath. On the in-breath, we take in the suffering of others. On the out-breath, we breathe out metta, just as you would in a normal metta practice. And by thinking about the sufferings of others, it gets us to come face to face with suffering that's happening in the world. But it also brings us face to face with our own suffering. And often this is done by people with long-term or even terminal illnesses. And they'll be using what they're going through as a way to take the suffering of others who are going through the same thing. And you're kind of connecting with the suffering of other people who may be going through the same as you, or who may be going through different experiences. With the metta side of it, breathing out metta, we're increasing compassion and love for everyone else and that kind of connection. And we're breathing in the suffering. We're kind of diminishing our own sense of ego and the thought that it's all about me, my life, only bad stuff happens, everyone else has it easy. So you're kind of doing that as well. So all these elements are built into the practice. But we don't have to actually worry about thinking of any of that while we're actually doing it. We just focus on connecting with the feelings. And as I've said, this is a practice which is done based on the breath. So when you breathe out, you're sending the metta and love. And when you breathe in, you're breathing in the suffering. And there's two different ways I've been taught how to do this by different teachers. One is to actually visualize yourself breathing in the suffering as kind of black smoke or tar or whatever you want to use to visualize what suffering's like. And then that goes down to your heart, which place it gets transformed into a kind of white light of metta or love, and then you breathe that out. And another way I've been taught is rather than breathing it in, you are still doing it on the in-breath and out-breath, but it goes directly in through the chest to the heart. And I often find that to be, for me, it's more of a direct practice. And often as well, when you're visualizing the personal group of people you're doing Tonglen for, you actually picture them in front of you. And if you've ever done a traditional metta practice from sort of an early Buddhist tradition like Theravada, it's done exactly the same. We have the metta verses at Tree Leaf, and in the metta practice in early Buddhism, you'd actually go through different people. You pick a friend, a family member, a neutral person, a person you're hostile to, and you actually imagine them in front of you and you're breathing out metta to them. And the same with this practice, we can visualize it in front of you. Now, the first stage of the practice is you do Tonglen for yourself, and you can either visualize yourself in front of you, or if that feels too weird, you can just do it with where you sit, and that's fine. Basically, the visualization is only important in terms of connecting you with the feeling of other people's suffering or with the generation of metta. That's all it's there for. It doesn't matter how good it is or how you do it, as long as you can connect to that feeling, suffering of others, and inducing compassion for them and love and metta. So, how we do it at Tree Leaf is there's 4 stages. For the first 10 minutes, we just do our straight shikantaza zazen practice. We just sit to kind of gather ourselves, no matter what's been happening in the day. We just sit, gather, and let everything be as it is. Then for 5 minutes after that, we use ourselves as the objects of Tonglen, taking in our own suffering and breathing out compassion for ourselves, what we're going through at the minute. If we're in pain, if we're suffering, afraid, or whatever. Then for 10 minutes, we pick a certain person or group of people or group of sentient beings to work with, doing Tonglen. Also, I may also refer to this as taking and sending, because you're taking in suffering, sending metta. And for most of this year, we've been working with people suffering from COVID and people suffering the effects, whether they're afraid, they lost their job, they've got family members who are sick, whatever. But there's other things that are happening lately. There's been wildfires in California. Some people might want to work with that. But just before you go in, just think of what you'd like to work with. You could even pick someone you know or a group of people you know who are close to you, who you'd like to work with. It's completely up to you. And then for the final 5 minutes, just as in the metaverse is a meta practice, we widen out the taking and sending to all sentient beings. And what we're essentially doing here is imagining ourselves as bodhisattvas, taking on all the suffering of the world and breathing out metta. And that is essentially it. And I will ring a bell at the beginning 3 times to begin, just as we normally do at Treeleaf. And then there'll be a bell to indicate the beginning of the next stage, and I'll remind you of what we're doing next. Then a bell to end, and we read the verse of atonement and the 4 vows. And that is it. Is that okay, or has anyone got any questions or clarifications? Cool. Okay, well, we shall begin. And thank you all very much for coming. It's lovely to see you. For the next 5 minutes, we use ourself as the subject. Take on our own suffering and breathe out metta and kindness to ourselves. for the next 10 minutes, you work for your chosen person or group of people or sentient beings, taking on their suffering for yourself, and on the out breath, sending metta, kindness, and love. hyphens to include all sentient beings. Visualize taking on their suffering and breathing out metta and kindness. Thank you all. We'll just end with the verse of atonement and the 4 vows. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind. Now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings or beings numberless, to transform all delusions or delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings though beings numberless, to transform all delusions or delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings though beings numberless, to transform all delusions though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. Thank you all so much for coming. It was a pleasure to sit with you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.